I would like to thank you for tuning in, whether you're in the live now or after the live broadcast has ended, and you're watching it at any point in the future. I welcome you. I thank you for being a part of this community. We've been very up and down. We've been what has been just the most tranquil of times, the most unbelievable, most satisfying feeling when we went from those November areas and we ended up just moving up like anywhere from like 6 to 12x. In some cases, we had one token that went up, I believe it was like 35x, which was insane. But for XRP as it pertains, we're up about 10x. And watching that transpire was just it was a certain level of tranquility that I can't quite describe. Watching something that we've been talking about and been covering since March 24th of 2021. And the beauty is we're here every single day, so never miss the day so we can continue to get the knowledge, day by day. Continue to allow this to transcend how it should. But to also now watch XRP and we're wondering to ourselves, are we going to break out? Is this truly the area where we can start pushing up and start to validate a wave 5? Or is this just another time where we're taking steps down? And the beauty is we're not discussing this at that 35 or 55 or 85 cent level. We are able to have this active discussion as XRP sits there at $2.22. A very awe-inspiring number for this community, or at least for me in particular. Whenever I see 222, it tells me that I'm on the right track. And we're, you still got to watch a little bit here because you want to make sure you continue to transcend in a certain way, so to say. But you're on the right track. And it's interesting the level that we're at right now. Because even with this beautiful run up, coming all the way back up from $1.61, it's been a phenomenal push back up. But XRP still has arguably the hardest part of the job now to push us out of this short-term bear market that we've fallen into after going up to $3.40 approximately. XRP has cut off, a pretty reasonable amount, and it does technically drop you in to what we would classify as a bear market territory. So when you go 20% down from a run up, so from the top of a price of an asset, when you go down 20%, you enter bear market territory. Like, to me, that's fine. But after a big defined run up, I don't necessarily care about that. So once you go from that 20 to 30%, once you get over 30%, you are in a bona fide bear market. And at one point, XRP had gone down 50%. A little bit more, possibly. And I thought it was a little wasted because I wanted us to clear that FVG at $1.50 just so we could get it out of the way. Doesn't mean it's even going to be a problem going forward. It just means I thought going all the way down there, we could have just, extended out here. And it would have only been, we went down to $1.61 is where we ended up actually hitting. So, we were down 52.4% from the top. Would it have really mattered if we would have just went down 3 more percent? No. Well, as it is, we didn't fill that. But we formed what looks like could possibly be an inverse head and shoulders. And to get back out and get clear from bear market territory, I put 247 in the title. But if I'm being realistic, I only put 247 because that technically would get us back into that range where we'd be less than 30%. And then it starts to allow us to have a talk here. But technically, we need to break this formation. And right now it sits at 254 approximately. But that 265 pivot point, I would say if you're paying attention to this, I would say firmly that you wait until that 265 pivot level is broken before you can say we're slipping back out from a bear market and potentially flipping bullish again. So we still have a lot of room here. The other part of this, there's a lot of room here. Even if you don't think it's going to break out, you've got room up to either here, which is 5.2%, or up here is about 15%. So even if this didn't break out into the, oh my, Lord, this is having a fantastic move, you still have room. We have a golden cross here in the 4-hourly, which is nice. I'm glad to see that. Maybe we can continue to transcend up a little bit. We are kind of caught here right now. We got caught here in the short term, almost like we could possibly have a bear flag. So we just need to break this. We don't. I mean, this is the only thing we're kind of caught up in right now, and it's because it. And this could have reset already. This is the beauty of it. So this is the beauty of it. Yes, it could be caught up in a bear flag. And if you are coming in right now, please make sure to hit that like button. I would be so ever grateful because it will help this expand my community. It's just that simple. YouTube likes the likes. It ends up pushing through the algorithm, and they'll share this to other people that are on YouTube to show them that the live is going on. And if one person comes, maybe two do, and then maybe if two do, they share to somebody, and maybe that creates a third, and a third creates a sixth, and so on and so forth. If we don't have anything besides word of mouth, what do we have? So, unless that's, that's why you want to make sure this isn't a bear flag, because then it would just come down to the next layer in here somewhere, about 214. But it doesn't necessarily have to play down like that. See, because it was a head and shoulders, or a topping reversal at the top, you have layers, and we filled out the first layer, which would be 219. Now it's just a matter of, is it meant to come down farther or not? If it's meant to come down farther, it probably would have a hard time coming past that 225, which is what happened here. And then obviously we wouldn't break past that 229 resistance. Otherwise, if we could gain some steam here, I mean, we could do some damage. But as I've mentioned, we would have to break past those certain levels that have been so very difficult to push past. And now we can see a very clear M topping reversal in the short term. So we just want to invalidate that thesis. And, you got to not get rejected by the 20 days and some of these. Some of them are going to be a little different. We're being held on the 2 hourly right now. The 4 hourly to me would suggest we have to come down possibly here. You want to back test the golden cross, and that to me automatically tells me it's probably coming down to 214, 215. We also had a reversal candle. Looks like that's where we're trying to transcend our pattern formation. And it could just be we're going to hang out here until 8 o'clock, and then, maybe tomorrow is that down day. But we'll see. We'll see. As long as 214 is held, you're looking good in the short term because you're holding the golden cross in the 4 hourly. But, there's so many things that we have to pay attention to because this could have been a dead cat bounce. We don't know. We are taking one of the two very lucrative routes right now. And we already did exactly what we needed to do to break out. And we back tested it as well. So now it's a matter of just holding this golden cross there at 214 and continuing on our way. And if we continue on our way, this could be very lucrative for us XRP holders. And those are our big numbers. To me, I know 257, but the pivot point's above it at 265. So, I mean, you've got some big numbers here. We could put 254, 247. I mean, you could put all of them. But we've got some big numbers over the top that we're going to have to deal with. We do have a cup that's formed here, or that's actually been put into place. We had a little cup here. And if you go all the way to the top of where it dropped, you're talking about 247. So that area, I understand, is important. And that's why I think if we can break above these areas, that's how we get back into the real big bull cycle. Because right now, XRP, unlike many others, it stayed within a very nice range. A lot of these other ones have slipped back into bear market territory after these big run-ups, but they're worse off than 21, at the lows. So XRP, to put it in perspective, is the only one outside of Bitcoin on my entire list that's higher than the 2021 bull market. I mean, put that in perspective. It's such a weird thing and an anomaly here in some ways that so many people could have got it so wrong thinking that XRP hasn't moved. And yet it's all these other alt tokens that have been the wrong move if you look at it. I mean, if you're calling a spade, they all missed the boat. For the most part, except XRP, they mostly missed the boat. And now that's what gives them such opportunity here because of the fact they did. When we get into a bona fide alt season, some of these ones that didn't run up like XRP is only going to have so much potential from 222. Even if it goes up $2 from here, let's just say it goes up $3.50 and it's that 579 area or 550 or whatever. And let's just say It's a $3.50 move we go from here. Well, somebody's going to be happy. They're going to make 130, 140% if they buy right here. But if you bought it at 35 cents, where we were buying it, a move like that is a 10x move. Like, that's the crazy part. You're talking about if it did something like that, you know, somebody might have bought it and they're seeing potential. But here's the difference. Like, they got to buy it from here. And let's do the old rubric metric point with the 10,000 tokens. It would cost them $22,000 and some change. We'll just say 22,000 for argument's sake. Now, yeah, if it gets up to 52 cents or $5.79, they're happy. They have $57,000. So they've made 35,000, right? Well, if you bought it at 35 cents, you paid 3,500, and now that 3,500 is all of a sudden up to 57,000. And you're already looking at a $19,000 profit right now as to where somebody's just buying in. So your upside potential to where they're making the same amount of money, it's just they had to put a lot more collateral up for risk. Let's just put it that way. So you're putting minimal money, but you're still moving up the same. So if you end up getting the chance in an asset to where you're like, hey, I know, and I personally felt like I knew that at some point XRP was not only going to push the $5 level, I wholeheartedly feel like it's going to push the $10 level as well. It's just, I don't know when. Just like I personally believe DGB is going to go up to 10 cents at some point again. Well, now when it goes down, instead of selling it, since I believe in it, I'll just buy more if it has a catastrophic drop off. Unless it's something that needs to be deemed like, holy crap. You know, like, we're done. But because I believe in it, you wouldn't necessarily sell it. You would add to it if that run hasn't happened. For XRP, it's a whole different ballgame because of where it's at. There's still a lot of money that can be made. It's just you have to put up a lot more. So, like, going back to that, the beauty of being able to sit and watch something materialize for years and years, buying in and out in the bull to bear, which was bear to bull, and getting back out and buying back in the bear that's a game changer. That's how you literally transcend wealth. You go from being, okay, I can afford $3,000 in crypto. It gets you up to 18, you sell out. And then you're like, okay, well, this time around I can afford, I don't know, 7, 10,000. And then all of a sudden on the same bull market, instead of going from 3 to 18, you know, or 3 to 20 or 3 to 30, you're going from 10 to 60 or 70 or 100. You know, and then now if it happens again, and you've got some other ones that are building up because you've got extra collateral. Now all of a sudden, if you 10x from here, now you're like, well, instead of it going up, you know, from $3,000 to X amount, now all of a sudden with the tokens that I have, and you're not even talking about XRP necessarily at this point. I would love for XRP to go up 10x from here. Let me tell you, instead of it being 3,500 to 35,000, now it's 22,000 to 222,000. You know, that's a big difference. Like, it was fun going from 3,000 to 30,000. Don't get me wrong, but going from 22,000 now up to 200 plus, oh, that would be even funner. And that's where the real fun would start. Your mind would literally be beating you over the screen. Like, that would be, if we ever get to a point like that, which I think we can sit through a $10 run, and we'll be sitting at it at 9 as it's changing hands at 7 to 8 to 10 to 12 to 8 to 6 to 12 to 15 maybe. And we're going to be sitting there and say, oh my God, look how fast my screen is moving up and down. But it's because you bought at 30 and 35 cents. Like, the screen still moves. It just doesn't seem as quick when you're buying at a higher price. Is like, it just, oh my God, to have returns like that. It's only happened to me a few times where it's been like, this is unbelievable. Like, I threw a couple thousand here and now, you know, that's 20, 30, 40, $50,000 here. And when it happens though, and it's starting to happen with much more ease for me now, and that's the scary part. It's like, how do you stay true to yourself and keep that humility and show that humbleness of being the exact same person I was in 2021 when I was coming up, you know, transcending myself from going and working a 9 to 5 to actually being almost 2 or 3 years clear now and doing what I thought was a good thing. But now being able to keep the same mindset where there is another zero there, you know, there is a little bit more of a safety net. there is that opportunity to say, well, I don't even need to do YouTube. Like, I didn't need to do it from the beginning, and I sure as hell don't need to do it now, to do what I'm doing. Um, in fact, in some ways, you would argue that it's costing money just because it takes time away from actually studying. But I disagree with that, because I think building a relationship and doing something you believe in and passing that wealth on, and here's the magical word: allowing abundance to be passed through yourself to somebody else, and then by you being able to allow them to create abundance for themselves, now they're able to create abundance for somebody else, even if they're just paying a maid, or paying somebody to fix their roof, or paying somebody to take their, cut their grass. They're still paying somebody to do work. Now they're allowing them to have a little bit of abundance themselves through hard work. So, like, that's where I get the clarity. So it's not so much about, I get the question all the time, Tom, if you continue to make money and do what you're doing with these cryptos, after you become the millionaire, are you still going to do it? I got a long ways to go to be a millionaire, but it's not as far as it used to be. Especially when you start to add everything up. I'm like, man, honestly, it's getting a little bit closer than I even thought, because the value of my house, which is paid off, continues to go up. The gold and silver that I own continues to go up. The mining stocks I have, overall, they continue to go up. The crypto I have continues to go. So as things continue to go up, you start to see, and it's like, it's become ever clearer that I want everybody else to see, like, the difference. Because I was at that point where, you're literally sitting there and you're like, I want to pay the bill, but I don't have any money. Or I want to use a credit card, but I don't have enough credit to even have a credit limit. Because I don't have any credit. It's so bad that a credit card won't even give me a credit limit. Or I have to go into negative to pay the electric. I know how that feels. Like, I used to go to work a labor job, and I couldn't even afford to eat unless I had Speedway points. So then it'd be like, oh, I'm going to fill gas in my car, and then I'm going to work from fucking 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and not eat, and it's going to suck. And then you go home and eat the scraps that you had at home, because there wasn't much that we had. But, it builds you into who you are. So then you're like, the abundance that you want to pass on is that you want everybody else to feel what you feel now, and understand that you feel that same thing and you never want to go back. So that in itself is the biggest self-motivator of all, because you don't want to go back to what it felt like before. And that, if you're a trust fund kid, you're never going to understand that struggle. If you're somebody who's always had money and you've never had to deal with that, you're never going to know. Like, no matter how much you want to sympathize, you can't possibly do it. That's why the most influential ones are the ones who started broke, and then they maintain wealth or gain wealth. Like Dave Ramsey, how he not only became a millionaire once because of stupidity, he lost it all and had to reacclaim it a second time, but he was piss poor. There's a lot of people that started that way, that are very influential, that can, but it's an easier way to gap, and it actually makes it a little harder to find somebody, because most people who start out from the bottom, most people, and this is why it's harder to maintain, and you see them piss it away by the time it's all said and done, because you're doing it in a way that's not just. And instead of creating abundance for all, you're creating abundance for yourself, but you're drawing from your very community that you're claiming to be so passionate about, but you're taking from them. Eventually, once that taking goes away, you don't have the abundance for yourself, because you really don't know shit. All you know is how to be a good swindler, but you have no skills. And that's what you get on YouTube. You get the Tom, Dick, and Harry that'll go from Doge influencer to XRP influencer to whatever shit crypto is on the spot, that given day. And they're always doing something else, because the game is up, the jig is up. Once something's not bullish and the biggest push that you could possibly have, you end up falling into a cycle of, hey, nobody's watching. They're sure as hell not watching me for my analysis. They're only watching because I'm telling them it's going up, and that's what they want to hear, which is 95% of psychology for trading, I've found. Could be a little bit lower, but in my personal experience, and then seeing it and reading about this, 95% of people who do research are only going to the person who is telling them exactly what they want to hear. So, for example, you're in my very audience. And yes, I'll do the intro. I know I haven't done it. But you're sitting there and you're like, okay, my philosophy is here. I don't care. I'm going to buy XRP. I'm going to buy so on. But I'm going to buy. So you look for an influencer. And now if you want to buy XRP at $1, You're going to find an influencer that's talking about XRP collapsing by 75%. You're going to find, but the majority of people, you're not looking for it to go down. When you're buying, this is what happens. Okay, I think XRP is the greatest thing ever, and it's going to go up to $10,000. What do you start doing? Ready? You don't look for XRP. Well, maybe you do look for XRP Future Millionaire because it's in the name. But XRP to 10,000, right? To 10K. This is what you end up doing. You say, okay, $10,000 XRP. There's one person I might watch. Crypto Cam. I mean, I wouldn't personally. Everybody who has that in their title, I probably won't watch. XRP to 10,000. So you start going to the ones that start to fit the narrative instead of the ones that you should probably be watching. Look at, here I am, see? I have a little bit of influence now, so, oh, that's because it's a previously watched video. Oh, they got me. They got me. I only popped up because it's me. It's very hard for me to pop up when you have stuff like that, you know? But it does, my channel does pop up pretty fairly now. But that's the point. You get the irregular mindset, and you're like, all right, I'm just going to watch this person because it fits my narrative. Probably the worst thing you can do in economics and finance is watch somebody because it fits your narrative. Because then it doesn't matter. Even if it's the worst thing, the worst possible scenario that's playing out, you're only going to be filled with the positive, the good, the bullish. Then when you watch somebody like me, they're like, bearish? Wait a minute, there's a possibility. Nope, skip. But then once it drops or it does what you don't want it to do, then they come back and they're like, well, maybe I should have watched this guy from the beginning because at least he was, you know, everybody was running this way and he kind of was like yelling from over there across the mountaintop like, hey, look at me. You know, am I that hideous? You can't look at me. You know, big head, but, you know, at least I have hair. But good evening. 7:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. You know what's been awesome this entire talk? XRP has been at $2.22. There's no better feeling than knowing the angels are around us and watching and guiding us. And hopefully, and I can feel that one of you have talked about our Lord and Savior in chat this evening, which means God is present amongst us. And if not, I know he is now because somebody's mentioned him now. In some way, amen. You know, and that's the good thing. Like, if we're all together, we start to see things. You know, we start to see things. That's also why if you've been around for a while and you haven't been a part of this, I don't know, there could be one person watching, there could be 100. You know, I have no idea because I don't look at it now. And I think I started this live around 6:40. So I probably won't look until, I know it's crazy, until like 7:20. That's about 40 minutes into the live. I'm actually feel much better not looking at all the comments until we get through. And then the last like 20 minutes, we just go back and forth with the comments. But I can get through everything I need to. And like if somebody does send a YouTube super chat, I'll see it. You know, when I go back. And turn the comments on. If somebody joins Tom's Army, if there's something I really need to see, I'll see it. Might have to turn my phone on. But fortunately, 0 times so far in my new format. I think this is the 4th or 5th day. No one sent a YouTube super chat while I was talking for 30 or 40 minutes. So made it very easy. Some back and forth because there was some relevance. I do say hi to Tom's Army and things like that. And, you know, I try to say hi. But felt like we needed to go in a different direction. So I kind of went to a podcast style. And then there's not so much on the screen to where you're watching it back and forth, up and down, left and right. You know, watching the 7th circle of hell as I go through the tranquility of the good and bad mojo within the comments. Now it's basically just me. You got to deal with me for the first 40 minutes. Love it or hate it. You know, there's me and 34,000 other people that are part of this community that now we actually have a voice. You know, it's just how do we use our voice? Are we going to invite people or are we going to kick them out? I personally want to invite people. I'd like to invite people. Because I want as many people as possible to be part of this ride. Like the biggest thing, the reason I do this is I kind of echo what Mike Maloney says. We're going to have the biggest, excuse me, the biggest transfer of wealth we've ever seen. And it's happening. It's happening. I don't think it's necessarily in crypto, but it's happening. Crypto is what gives you the abundance, and then you can put it into your store of values like gold and silver. I literally told Julia I'm gonna punch myself in the face for a missed opportunity. I had my $15,000 that I took out of the CD after it matured for my whole $189 or whatever it ended up netting. And I had sent it over and I was going to put it just in the iSilver Trust. And for whatever reason, I did not do it this morning. And I want to kick myself because silver's up 3.5% on the day. And on 15 grand, 3.5%, isn't bad. So, like, I was one of those moments where I'm sitting here and I'm like, you son of a bitch. You had this all lined up. You've got it set over on the side on your Cash App account in the stock side so that you can put it in there. And what do you do? What do you do? You completely forget about it until right before the live and you say, oh, shit. I set it up, but I never actually made the move. Like a dope. So now I had to watch silver go up 3.5%. The very thing I talked about yesterday and told everybody that was going to be my move, or 2 days ago, especially if we had any kind of downturn on silver. I had this money set there. And what do? We get a downturn on silver to like $32.10 this morning. Look at that. Oh my God, I'm sick. I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be sick. No. I'm not going to be sick, but you guys get the picture. Even at 35.14 or 32, oh my God, that's 4.5%. This is that's the easiest 7% I could ever. Oh man, that makes me ill. Makes me ill. Only because I had it all planned out. It was perfect. Told JP Morgan, give me my motherfucking money. You're not holding this for another $180, you cocksuckers. Sorry for excuse my French. And I said, I'm going to put it in silver. The best bargain on the planet. And what do? Put it in the worst bargain on the planet. It's sitting in the US fucking dollar. Ooh, my dollars went up 0.25% on the day, probably. Not even part at 100. What an opportunity that I let slip away. You just, sometimes it just slips away. And the problem with silver is silver's on a way, in a majestic way, might I add. Oh, it's majestic. Look how perfect that looks. Oh, it's so disturbing that I didn't do that. Sometimes I told you I'm not perfect, and I get so freaking busy sometimes that I have these perfect plans, and like, oh, I gotta do this, gotta do that. Good thing is I don't do any kind of prep for the show, so that's the one thing. Like most people they play it up on influencer. Oh, I gotta put so much time into it. That's why I have to charge so much for the info. Bullshit. You don't have to put any time into it. The only time you put into it is to make it look fancy. If you know what you're talking about, it doesn't take. I literally hit play and I start talking. How much, am I doing to prepare? Literally hitting play. It's hard enough to come up with the title in 2 seconds because I literally take 12 seconds to make the title. It takes me about another 30 seconds to set up the live. And then when I'm ready, I just hit start, But I have to have it pre-set up just to make sure it's going to work. Because YouTube's a bitch sometimes. So literally, I don't have any prep time. I don't have any kind of sound thing. So when people are like, oh, your quality sucks, it's like, thank you. Literally, I have my tablet. Which I bought the top-of-the-line tablet once again after 4 years for everybody. And just because I want it to at least look good. And have to get decent sound. But, it's just, I'm passionate about this. The whole point of this is I'm freaking passionate about this. Because it's allowed me to get out of the depth of servitude. I was literally the grease monkey, for the business. And like literally, I was literally making other people rich, but I was literally never home. I was never home. In the summer times, I literally worked sun up to sundown because that was your busy time as a laborer was in the summer outside because it was outdoors. So you literally are pissing, and it's like, how many summers am I going to go away? Goodbye-bye. And then it's like, how much am I willing to break my body down? So now you have to find ways. So a way that I found is as you continue to build wealth, is you try to find these opportunities that just seem too good to be true, but aren't. You find the ones that have been just destitute, and they're so undervalued, and that's where silver's at. I've got this long-standing motive here, and this is what's helped me to continue to expand my wealth here, despite crypto kind of being sluggish. It's been the mining stocks. And yeah, they got hit a little bit here. But look at gold all of a sudden. Up $22 on the flip. It was down $100 today. Had to. You have to. You have to have some. I say this all the time. No matter how good it looks going up, you still have to consolidate. Like, you have to do it. Every step of the way, you're going to get these boom, up, boom. And then eventually, it's going to be going so far, so fast that it's going to have that check moment. And you're like, okay, well, we're having a hip check here. And we're getting a heater thrown our direction. And now we need to see what we're doing. Well, right now, with what's going on, there's some real honest speculation that everybody in my audience needs to have with themselves, not just with me, about the act of like 1932, where the sitting U.S. president has the authority to revalue the price of gold. And knowing that the USA as a whole, mainly not because of its citizens, but the government, the Fed, which is the Central Bank of America, if you don't know, we own the most gold as far as country, not per capita, so or per person. Per person, we rank like number 12th in gold holdings. So if we revalued gold and had a gold-backed policy, like a monetary system, we would be the 12th richest nation by person, but by country wealth and by trading potential, you'd be number 1 because of how much gold you hold in total. So, and that's in the act, I believe it's 1932, where it gives the sitting president of the United States the ability to revalue gold, and they would just simply revalue it to, you know, to demonetize what we have as debt. And I think that's something that is actually lining up, and I think that's why they show us the potential of, you know, crypto. And honestly, the crazy part about crypto is it could be just the cryptos we look at today. And I'm just telling you guys, I have a plan from 20 until 2032 for a reason. I think crypto in the form that we see it now is obsolete by 2032 in most ways. Just like the electric vehicle will be with the hydrogen battery. I'm just saying. At some point in the near future, we're going to get our testicles blown off. And they're going to start to talk about these hydrogen fucking fueled vehicles. Where they have hydrogen batteries and literally you're running off of fucking water in a sense. And they're going to do it. They're already being heavily produced. It punched me in the gut when I first seen it a few years ago when I was investing in EV. I'm like, well, EVs are shit. I already knew they sucked, but if this... And then I started to find the hydrogen. So, you know, and the reason why I say that's what's crypto. Like, we have tokenomics, but they're going tokenless. So, like, what the hell are we going to do when we have tokens, like XRP token, but this new wave is tokenless? So, I think we have a plan, but the plan can't be too far out. You know, you can't have the plan when everybody's coming in. The government never made everybody rich, only a small sum. And the only small sum they ever made rich were the ones that had the forward thinking before it became mainstream. We're not quite mainstream yet, but wait until this next alt season. You know, there's a reason why XRP hasn't fallen off the map, because it's not really allowing retail to buy in as you would think. Like me personally, if you want to go back, to buy 10,000 tokens at 22,000 right now, I'm not willing to do it. Nor am I even positioned after all the housework and what my plans are in my own finances to do that. I'd be uncomfortable. But if it gave me an opportunity to buy 10,000 more at 35 cents, you better fucking believe I'd probably buy 30. If it comes down to the proper area. Last time I bought like 22,000 in total when it was down there. You know, could I have done better? Sure, I could have. Do I have regrets? Absolutely not. Because I transcended my own portfolio in the way I wanted, and I got nothing to complain about. The only complaint I have is that we slowed down, but that was to be expected. So, what do you gather out of this so far? That XRP needs to break over that $2.47. No, more than that. It's more than that. Why even sugarcoat it? $2.54. You know, we got to get past there. That's our first area. The one thing that I will say is we've got to do it in this weekly. Like, I don't know how else to say this. We cannot afford to get rejected here, because I can tell you for a fact in the weekly, we were working off of something quite interesting on the last couple candles, and we need to break out of here. This would be our opportunity. It's giving us an opportunity to kind of clear some steam here, but, you know, we've got to take advantage of it, because once you start to end this monthly, That monthly was a pathetic one coming into this candle. Now, if we could make a run here, we technically are squeezing back up. And yeah, we haven't done anything special, but we did have a pretty healthy reversal from the bottom of this candle, which, you know, it's definitely something to be said. That pulled up 37% from the bottom of this candle. So that's a big pull up, but now we've got to follow through. To do all of this and not follow through would be worse than falling through the first time. Because now you create a lot of unwanted steam here to fall back through. If in fact this is a fake out, we do not want a dead cat bounce here. So we want this to now hold 93,136. So far, so good. So far, so freaking good. And I love seeing that. For hourly looking good. Daily, I know, is continuing to look decent. It made a new high. Looks to be closing here. And then our next level would be around 98,670 or 633. We know it's like 99,000 and some change. All good? Okay. Let's just go to where it's actually, so we can get to the top potential. Because we did bounce from here and we never came back through. So it's 99,523. Let's just, well, maybe a tiny bit higher. But let's just make sure we don't get kicked in the nuts. Because we put it off a little bit. So 99,631. I'm okay with that. 99,631. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But we have to, the reason why I say this is important is we got to get rid of this topping reversal. And, you know, you want to invalidate this reversal part of this it's just been this topping reversal that we've got to get rid of. It's not impossible. It's really not, because if you come up to that 99,000, then you start to look at it as if we come up another 10%, we've come back over and now we're at a triple top, but we actually have a chance. Like the way this broke out, the way it's doing this, it's doing everything I want it to do to continue to break up. It's in a different spot here, and it's nice. I gotta grab more water, but it's in a good spot right now. That daily close, if we can close over here, is promising. And it's only midweek. We've still only going into Thursday tomorrow, so we've still got 48 hours plus before we get to the weekend. There it goes. Yeah, they look big. Okay. Some nice Icelandic water. Nothing better than some nice pure water. This one's in a glass bottle too. Feel fancy. But the golden cross on the daily, or I mean not the, well, I guess you could call it a golden cross. It's just weird because we're trying to invalidate a death cross. But that 20 coming back through the 200. Now it's gonna have to come all the way back through the 100 to revalidate this, but it's doing it in a pretty big surge here. It's doing it in a big surge. And last weekend, I mean, I know we didn't have a big rally, but didn't it kind of constitute, well, I guess you can't say constitutes, but it kind of reversed the bearish narrative finally on weekend 18. So, I mean, I know not everything was really bullish, but it didn't go bearish on the 18th. If anything, you could say week 18 was more neutral. Is that fair? You know, I think saying week 18 is neutral, I think that's fair. How many minutes has it been? Oh, wow, 39 minutes already. 110 people are watching. Well, that's pretty good. At least I didn't scare everybody away. 83 likes. I've seen worse. If you're looking to trade crypto, make sure you don't only look in the video description below after this video, but go to my homepage. BITUNIX, I encourage it because on BITUNIX, I literally buy and sell. Even if I'm on another exchange, I send it to BITUNIX to sell so I don't have to pay all the fees. Or I'll buy it on BITUNIX, like XLM, for example. I had bought it back in time on BITUNIX, and then I send it to crypto.com and just let it sit there. No, when I want to sell, no, I'm not going to sell it on crypto.com. I'd be out of my damn mind. I'll send it back to BITUNIX so I don't have to pay the fees. And then if I need to withdraw to a bank, because BITUNIX is not a exchange that you send or receive from a bank account, you're sending assets from different exchanges, I'll send it to crypto.com, which is why I have it. Besides having DGB, I have to buy there. But I also use it as a withdrawal hub. So if I make money on BITUNIX and I want to send it off of the crypto sphere, I can send it over to crypto.com. That's linked to all my tax stuff. So then, if I got to pay taxes, I'll do it through crypto.com. But you can take money. You can do what you got to do. You can have the, ability to not get bent over the railing. So I encourage BITUNIX. It's a worldwide, no VPN or KYC, lowest spot leverage trading, and they had XRP even in the height of the lawsuit in 2020. At the end, when it first started, even through the peak of it all, they've kept it. I wish I would have known about it in 2020. I'll be honest. And then you can send a donation, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo. I encourage you guys to join Tom's Army, pay it forward. Especially if you appreciate the fact that I've been doing this free for over 4 years without missing a single day. I would love to see the members of Tom's Army. It just shows me that people actually appreciate the work. You're encouraged by it and you're willing to pay it forward because you want me to be here at number one. 34,400 plus subscribers. I appreciate that as we steadily gain here. That's awesome to see. It is awesome to see a few people every day. So with that being said, let's get into the comments. It's already 41 minutes in. I feel comfortable that I've said everything I need to say. There was a little bit of reading I wanted to do, but we'll see if we get to that. We might get to that. It was just one thing. No, it wasn't the Bitcoin thing. Where was it? Oh, yeah, I want to keep talking about this new lawsuit. I want to keep talking about this new lawsuit. We talked about it yesterday, but there's more and more that keeps happening. But remember, before we get into the comments, XRP can never, ever, and this is from a federal judge and a federal ruling, they can never be deemed a security ever again. So I talked about this years ago that we will have the only token with clarity, and while the rest of them continue to have to defend themselves, XRP's already been there, done that from a federal standpoint. This would be like from a state level, at a federal level, I've been vindicated, and now at the state level, they're trying to give me some nonchalant bullshit. Well, the federal standing will always supersede the state. So, yeah, you might have to defend yourself, but from the public appearance, you should know that it's all horseshit, and because it'll easily get thrown out from the XRP standpoint, because on a federal jurisdiction level, it's already been ruled not a security. So if you're going to try to put an injunction from a state level, you're just pissing your money away because you're going to be laughed at a federal level. That's already been here, done that shit. So this is where it's actually in our favor to have this kind of nonsense come out, because now we already know XRP is it's not an unregistered security. So this is where we go, please bring the price down so we can buy more, please. Or something similar, or let this be. And as everybody else is selling, we just go, if only you knew the fucking truth here. If only you knew. So we'll read this together to see if they give it the right spin or the wrong spin here. So we'll read this together. Let's see. So the ticker in the USA, AUWX, thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty Doghouse Crypto News. Frankie Fresh, hey my friend, how you doing, brother? And thank you for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XP Media along with the Ricci. Thank you both so much. And Trial by Fire as well. I love it. I love it. So, Alonzo says ZBCN is about to have a really big run up this rally up. We could definitely, we'll take a look at that before I leave. Oh, I seen there was a few YouTube super chats towards the end. Interesting. I'll get to those in a minute. Frankie Fresh says, I like the change too regarding the comments. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Kenny, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month with Dusty Doghouse Crypto News. Syrian, thanks for being a very trusted mod and in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. The Great Falling Away, what's going on, my friend? It's been a little while, but it's good to see you're still here. You've been here Shit, you've been part of this community since like that first bull run. It's awesome to see you in here. I'm glad to see you're doing okay. At least good enough to be here. Pump Master Flash DGB hanging in there. Sure is. Sure is. Frankie Fresh says the average house, price of a 3-bedroom house, it's like $500K. Yeah, they're getting rid of the single family house. They're trying to in Michigan, especially in Oakland County and in Clawson where I live. You're starting to see signs now, people putting them in their yards about save the single family home. I'm very lucky. My home, even though it's just over 1,200 square feet, it's got 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Well, it's 1.5 bathrooms, but it's got 4 bedrooms. There's not very many houses at all around me. They even have 3. So it's a desired little piece. And it was in Julie's family in the beginning, and then obviously we had to buy it out. And she bought it from her cousin, so there was no like tax breaks or anything. But anyhow, it was it's an interesting thing we're going through. I agree with that. Papa Wheelie, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Lonzo says the housing market is part of the debt bubble. It is. The problem is because there's not so many new family homes, like single family homes coming on, the prices continues to go up. I don't think we're going to see much change there, unfortunately. Let's see who else I missed. Sorry if I missed somebody. UK Phil, thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Frank Durkin, welcome in. I hope XRP breaks out during the live feed. Tom, if it breaks out big, will you go live? Oh, I always do. If I can, absolutely. And now let's go to the donations. There was a few of them. Thank you so much. Tom, can you look at American Coin? The ticker is USA. Never heard of it. Let me put it on here. And thank you for the $1.99 AUW and also being in Tom's Army for your 2nd month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. I greatly, 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 greatly appreciate that. Oh, why does it have to? Oh, USAA? Is that it right there, or is that the wrong one? Ooh, is that on Crypto.com? I like it. I like when they're on Crypto.com. Crypto Cooter, thank you so much for the $2.22 donation and also being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Says all of your work is appreciated. I appreciate that. James Zula says, thank you for the quant call yesterday. Made $358. Helped to pay back the MXC loss. Oh, I love seeing that. I love seeing that. You made an extra 150 or whatever on top of yesterday. That is awesome. And thank you for the $5 donation and also being in Tom's Army for your 2nd month with Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News, James. But that literally is awesome to read. I love it. I did make a little bit of money myself on quant. And it's not that it doesn't have a chance, because I think quant is still positioned very nicely. Where's it at now? Very nicely, I might say. I like to watch it after too, and the leverage position always gets a little dicey because then you start to beat yourself over the head after a while. So was able to do some good stuff there. So I'm glad, James. I'm very glad about that. You have no idea. Frank Durkin, thank you so much for the $10 donation. I greatly appreciate that, my friend. Frankie Fresh, thank you for the $1.99 donation and being in Tom's Army for your 3rd month with the XRP Meteor. Says, thanks for being you. Thanks for being you. I appreciate that. Thank you for being you. Syrian, not only being a very trusted mod and also in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor, sends a $1.99 donation with the cool emoji. Love it. And Joseph Euler's been in Tom's Army for over 3 months now with the XRP Meteor, sends a $10 donation and says thank you with the emoji. How awesome is that? They are all legends. I love it. Ah, there we go. Somebody who understood what I was talking about. See, I just said water because I didn't want to go in and get banned. But somebody actually broke it down. God bless you in the comments. Self-awareness. I don't know if I want to say it. I didn't want to say it before, but self-awareness said it. This is not me. I'm just reading a comment. It said hydrogen cast can be made with sodium hydroxide, aluminum, and water. Makes a lot of hydrogen, and you can recycle the byproduct. So you know exactly what I'm talking about, my friend. I love it. I love it. What did somebody say about ZBCN? Up 30% today. Nice. Nice reversal in the daily. It's stuck in this zone still, but it's got some upside potential. We just got to clear out that death cross. We'll look at more of those in the day. I'm running short on time here towards the end. But yeah, ZBEC is definitely moving. What else was there? I remember. So yeah, but with ZBEC, you just got to get over that death cross. So keep paying attention to that. The USA coin's up 12%. Maybe that would be one that's starting to round the corner a little bit. Definitely had this inverse head and shoulders playing up. It is coming down to back test this move. It's coming down to back. So that 133 level is where it's coming back down to back test. It's basically already went there. But that's what it looks like. It's looking to back test that move. I'll do some research on that. I just can't get caught up in all that because I'm going to run out of time. But yeah. Not that one on Radium SOL. Well, that makes it the Radium one. I mean, it's basically the same thing. It's just you're playing in a different way. I have customers make it in the backyard. Not that one. Oh yeah, we talked about the cup and handle on XRP that was formed for sure. That can bring it up. It's got like to that, I think $2.47. I mean it's the same thing as we looked at with the other one. DGB up or down 0.39%. DGB still, it's on the outside here, and it looks like it's working towards something. Even that, if you want to look at a back test scenario there and not come all the way down, you could technically hold it there. Otherwise, it needs to come down to here. But it's definitely working on something a little bit more extraordinary. And we're definitely getting to these more articulate zones that if we can break out, we got to push this resistance. And we're still stuck under. So until we get past 114, we're still stuck. We got these micro moves that we can manage, but the bottom line is we're just stuck in there. Once we get out of there, it's going to be sweet. It'll be pretty nice. It'll be pretty nice. And I understand that we could look at it like this and be like, oh, we're almost broken out, but I don't like that. I like it to do it like that. Because we've talked about this before. If you were going to do something like that, I think it would be more appropriate to do something like this. Because then you can start to look at it in two different ways. So, it's got to get out of there. Once we get out of that area, it's when it's going to get fun for DGB. But XRP one last time before I go. Got to get over $2.35. Ultimately, in real time, you know, if we do this by April 28th, let's just say the Monday after this upcoming weekend, $2.54 would have to be broken. Underneath in real time, if you break below this is when you would have a little bit of a problem. It's down at $2.01. So if you were to break below that, yeah, then you might have a little bit of a problem. And then you would have to go back into the kind of this scenario right here where, all right, all of a sudden we can't hold, you know, these areas, and then you might have to break down farther. But we're so far up here now that if you want to come all the way back down here, it could be a problem. You know, it could be a problem. We do have this little cup that going back here. Oh, somebody was talking about a smaller cup. But if you go back to here and you look at like March 26th, it looks like it's working on that right now. And that could get us to 245. So we just got to continue to move up. If we come down below that $1.98, we've got a problem. Or that 201, I should say. That's where you come into a problem. Bitcoin's up $257 right now at 93,738. It's done exactly what it needs to do today. It wants to keep a bullish tug. It stayed above 93,136. We're just looking for a volume spike again. We had one back here. We had one to start. Small one here, but we need a follow-through candle. But our technical target here hasn't been met yet. On that breakout, we have a technical target of 99,631. We haven't quite got there yet. So we've still got about $6,000 worth of room here. So, you know, but I'm pretty secure here. I feel good about that. I feel good about what we did in the live. My son's going to be going to bed soon. Julie's sitting here waiting for me. So I feel like this is the appropriate time. It's been 55 minutes. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. If you made it till the end, hashtag be better, do better. And then we'll continue this tomorrow. I'll read through the comments after and I'll see what everybody's saying and I'll base a little bit on what I do, you know, based on what I see in the comments. So have a blessed night, everybody. And we'll